Today in our session, we will talk about understanding the importance of goal setting. We will review 5 key strategies to goal setting. The first is focus on your organizational priorities. And I know it's December now, so you're coming to the end of the year and you all are starting to set your organizational goals. Create SMART goals, creating a plan of action, a timeline, and to take action, which is the most important step in goal setting. Any questions so far? All right. So let's get started. So goal setting is very important. Goal setting helps motivate employees to achieve specific goals. They provide a specific roadmap that's needed to success. It provides different details of what are you going to do, how are you going to do it, who's going to help you. So it provides a lot of information. So goals, as we all know, that they are extremely important and something that's done every year. So what I want you to do is in the chat box, write down one way goal setting has helped you and your team members reach success. Okay, great. So we have a lot of different responses. Helping to focus, helping to improve performance, great. So there are a lot of different benefits to goal settings. There are 2 general types of goals we're going to discuss. One's developmental goals and performance goals. So I know that you guys have general performance goals, and those goals are based on your, let me go back. Those performance goals are based on the organizational goals. So you're looking at the big picture. What are the general goals of the organization? And those goals are broken down and cascaded to different departments. So it's like your piece of the puzzle, or everyone has a slice or a piece of a pie. Everyone has a different role in helping the organization achieve this larger or massive goal. So those are your performance goals. Developmental goals are just personal. It's about you. How do you want to continue to grow and develop in your career? What do you want to do to continue to succeed? What courses or classes or experiences that you may need to help continue to develop? And actually the last one is project plan, but we won't go into that. Our goal setting course today will mainly focus on setting goals, performance, and developmental goals. So right now, and right in the chat box, last year, how many, I know you guys completed your performance goals, but how many people completed developmental goals? Okay, because it is a priority, it is a requirement, but I know that some people don't complete those developmental goals. So and I see a lot of people are just focusing on performance goals. So next, for this year, in addition to creating your performance goals, you also want to create development goals. All right. So we talked about some great things about goal setting. So let's talk about what are some pitfalls of goal setting. For me, in my past experience, is a few main areas are just having unrealistic goals. I've been in situations in organizations where I have worked under a manager and I was told to do some tasks and it's just totally unrealistic within a time frame. And having too many is also unrealistic, because if you have too many goals, you can't focus on anything and you really lose where your priorities are. So write in the chat box, well, what are some of your goal setting pitfalls that you have experienced and you want to may need help with? Okay, and I'm seeing a lot not having clarity on the goals and not seeing a larger picture. And that's important because your manager this year, we have already gone through trainings with your managers, and one part of that training is to make sure that you understand what your goal is and how it fits into the larger scheme of things. All right. So let's get down to the fun part, guys. Let's focus on reviewing those 5 keys to goal setting. As we mentioned earlier, focus on the priorities, what's important, the organizational goals. That's been set, but you guys haven't had an opportunity to create or work with your leaders on creating goals. Creating SMART goals, plan of action, a timeline, and to take action. So the first key is to focus on priorities. After we go through, let me actually go back. After we go through steps 1 and 2, we will get into our groups and create a SMART goal. So the first one is focusing on priorities, focusing on what's really important. Now, your performance goals should be based on your organizational strategy. Oftentimes, or I know in the past when I've talked to some managers, the staff really wasn't clear about, well, what are those goals? What are we supposed to do, and where's that linkage to the organizational goals? But the performance goals, you will be giving at the end of this session, and before you meet with the manager, you will be giving a template, and we'll use this in our group sessions as well, as far as how to create those goals. But your performance goals will be strictly based this year and the future years based on the organizational strategies. They have been creating that broad strategies, and each organizational leader has a set of goals that they are going to focus on. And those are your department goals. And as we said, for developmental goals, that's different. Is what's important: knowledge, skills, and abilities that's needed for you to be successful. So a lot of times in these developmental goals, there may be different activities where you may go to a different department. You may focus on learning a new skill or learning something different about in your area. So those are actually important as well. And within your template, you can write your performance goals, and at the bottom you'll have an opportunity to write your development goals. And as we said, one pitfall is writing too many. When you're creating your performance goals, there really should be no more than 5 goals. And development goals, there should be maybe 1 or 2 development goals. All right. Any questions about focusing on priorities? All right, so let's go to creating SMART goals. So I want you to write in the chat, what does SMART mean? What is that? It's an acronym, but for what? What does SMART mean? Oh, great. Great job, guys. You're getting those right. So you're familiar with the term SMART. The S is for specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is relevant, and T is timed. So what I want you to do now is to write in the chat, Well, what does it mean? What does the S in SMART, what does specific mean? And then what does measurable mean? And what does achievable mean? And what is relevant? And what is time? Okay, guys. So it's a simple concept, but it's sometimes it's a challenge creating these SMART goals. So the S for specific means, well, what do you want to do? It has to be specific. Well, what is your goal? What do you want to focus on? And measure means, well, how can it be measured? How can you track progress? And the measurement, as some people have said in the chat, includes either it's a number or percentage in a lot of the cases. Not all of the cases, or not all of your goals will have a number or percentage, but a lot of them, because it's important to measure that success, like the number of sales or the percentage of sales. So your goal should include a number or percentage of something. The third is achievable. Is this attainable? Is this the time period? Is this something that you can actually attain, or you can actually get those 3 clients? Can you? So that's something that when you meet with your managers, you want to be realistic to see if it's something that you can actually achieve. And it's also, is it something related to what you're doing? Is it related to the organizational goals? Or is it something that you really want to do, or it's not really a priority? So all of the goals should be a priority, and they should be linked to the organizational goals. And the last is a time. It's important to have, well, when are you going to complete this goal? When is the end date? Will creating or getting those 3 clients, will that be completed by November 2021? In addition to having that timeline, you want to have milestones in your goal, in your action plan. Actually, you want to see, well, how is this gonna work in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now? So you want to just measure like small successes. And goal setting is not necessarily the end product, it's the complete process to achieving that goal. Any questions? Okay, great. So we will get into our chat rooms, and create one SMART goal. But before that, let's review some sample goals. All right? And tell me what you think about this goal. Tell me, is it missing something, or is it a great goal? The first one is reduce department expenses by following the new purchasing processes for lab supplies by March 15th. All right, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the chat room. Right, there was no measurement. So the correct answer, or another option, would be to reduce department expenses at least 1% to 2% by following the new purchasing process for lab supplies by March 15th. Very good. Remember, we are supposed to be able to measure that goal. Let's do another one. And this is a developmental goal, because developmental goals can be measurable too. So meet with colleagues to improve my company knowledge. Is that a goal? What are your thoughts? Is that clear? Is that a SMART goal? All right. And this is to meet with one colleague a week for 2 months. So we're missing a couple things here. We're missing the measurement part. And for how long? For 2 months to improve company knowledge. So those are quick, easy ways to show you all of the different components that's needed in goals. So right now we're about to get into groups. There will be groups of 3. You will have 5 minutes in your group to create a goal, and we will present that goal when we get back. All right? Oh, you're very good on your goals. Great. So also with creating SMART goals, who should create the goals? In this environment, more of an agile environment, it's not necessarily the manager to tell you guys, hey, this is what I want you to do. Within this process, the employee will have just as much decision making as far as creating those goals based on organizational strategies, making sure that it's effective. And why is that? Why do managers and employees need to both create goals? That's right. The managers may miss out on some specific skills or tasks. I know in a situation where I worked with a team and the manager created specific goals. However, the employees had different ideas on how that process. The employees are in the front line and they see customers and clients every day. And so in one case, employees knew that, with their manager creating the goals, they don't have all the specific information. And once that employee had opportunity to create goals, they were able to increase sales and increase productivity. So this is definitely a joint venture. So the third step is to create a plan of action. And creating that plan of action is just writing down how you will achieve the goal. We've gone specific on what's needed. We've gotten specific on what is needed in the goal statement and how it's going to be created. Now we want to talk about, what specific information is needed to make sure you have a clear process or clear thoughts on how this goal is going to be achieved. And that includes having clarity for development goals and also performance goals. So let's go over, what's included in that action plan. And right now, if you can open up your action plan document that was sent in the chat room. It was just sent. Okay, great. So here, I'll just read off the different components. The action plan will include goals, what it is you're supposed to do, key actions. What are the key actions that you're going to take to achieve this goal? Milestones is we don't want to just at the end of the goal 6 months later to review. We want just to take quick, short looks to see where that progress is. What do you need to continue to do? Or what are some changes that you may need to make to accomplish this goal? And due dates. What are those due dates? Success measures. Success measures are very important. they help determine, well, once you have achieved this goal, what will your success look like? What will be this outcome? Will you have more skills, more knowledge? Would you have increased organizational finances? Would you have created a process? What does that look like? Oftentimes, this step gets ignored, and people don't do it, and people don't have a clear idea of what that end looks like. So we want to think from the end to the beginning to make sure you have clear goals in your action plans. And the last part is resources. What are the resources? Time, money, equipment, staff. Who's going to help you? This is definitely important too, is to make sure you have all the elements that will make you successfully achieve your goal. So for the development plan, that action plan is different. As you see on the bottom of your goal setting chart, you see a development plan. It's a little bit more, it includes your development objective goal, the skills, competencies that's needed, or competencies that you're working toward. As you know, you have your specific competency, and we want to make sure it's linked to that. What are your action steps, resources, those success measures, and timeline? So really the main difference between the action plan for the development plan and the performance plan is, in the development plans, you want to focus a little bit more on what area are you trying to develop. You want to link it to that specific competency. All right. And the fourth step is, once you have completed your action plan, it's time to create a timeline. And so within that timeline will be events to get a visual. I've worked with many clients over the years, and when they have like a visual, a sheet of paper on a desk that looks something like this, you can kind of see or forecast your goals and to see, well, what months are maybe a little busier than others, what months do you have a little bit more time, so looking at pressure points. And throughout the year, you can check off your accomplishments and just get an overall visual, and that has helped a lot of people. And so after you create your action plan, you'll create a timeline. So now I want you to get into your groups again. You will go back to your same groups and create an action plan based on the goal that you created. It can, and whichever goal, if it was development goal, performance, that's fine. So for the goal you created, you will create an action plan. All right. You'll have 5 to 7. You actually have 7 minutes to complete this, and I will be going into the rooms to check on you. Great. All right. Our last step in creating our action or setting SMART goals is to take action and follow up. This is the most, well, besides creating that SMART goal, and this is definitely the most important part, is to actually take action and follow up. So it's not just about writing our goals at the beginning of the year, making sure we have clear goals. It's also about saying, hey, this is what this is what we're going to do this month. Next month, your chart, your flow chart will help you, give you a visual. And managers, you're going to meet with your managers to each month to review your progress and review your milestones. Any questions? So in your chat, write down one thing that you can do to take action and to follow up. Name one thing that you can do that you haven't done in the past. Great. All right. So here is a list that we have. One is to measure your progress regularly, often. You want to look and see, as we say, you will be meeting once a month with your managers. And for the people leaders within the group, you want to make sure you reward your employees for their success. So at different milestones or different times, you want to not just say, okay, oh good, you completed it. Give them some sort of support, a thank you card, have parties, just different ways you can reward them. There was a recent study by Gallup that showed providing rewards or that a simple thank you was just as important as a financial reward. All right. So here's a summary of what we discussed. The first is to create SMART goals based on priorities. Performance goals, you should create 2 to 5, no more than 5 goals, because you want to focus and to make sure that they're based on the organizational priorities. For development goals, there should be 1 to 2 developmental goals linked to your core competency. And you can create an action plan to determine how you're going to carry out these goals and create a timeline to track your progress. It's also important, even though you're having your monthly meetings, to solicit ongoing feedback as needed. All right, any questions?